Each year, we invite one champion to give remarks on behalf of all of the honorees. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite Honoree Marr Nyang from the Gambia to give remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Secretary Blinken. This is highly appreciated. It's a pleasure to stand here today on behalf of my colleague award recipients from around the world to deliver this speech on their behalf. Without doubt, one of the most difficult fights is the fight against corruption. And the ones who are in this fight face numerous reprisals from government security apparatus and business moguls who engage in illicit transactions with public officials. Anti-corruption activists are the first aid of anti-corruption in every society. And it's through our work that we deter and control the spread of this cancer before it eats up our governments and society. This is why we fight, not for self, but for the downtrodden, the middle class, the rich, and the unborn. We fight because we cannot stand going to public hospitals and seeing patients lying on mattresses on the floor, while a group of people devour the monies that are meant to purchase a simple hospital bed. We fight because we cannot stand electricity going off in the middle of surgery, putting the lives of patients on the line. We stand up against corruption because it is difficult to see public officials riding in multi-million SUVs, while citizens in rural communities use donkey cart as their ambulance. We fight graft because we want a working system and a well-developed country where our citizens live in absolute dignity. The only thing standing between us and this goal is corruption and leadership, nothing else. We fight because we cannot stand a population of over 2 million depending on one ferry vessel, the only vessel that is meant to carry the sick, the students, policemen and women, petty traders and businesses to one side of the bank to the other. Because of its ineffective administration, it has cost life, properties, and forced indigents to bankruptcy and poverty. We fight because we wanted to make sure what is for everyone is not for one. In our midst today, Secretary Blinken have already given these profiles, and I will, based on our interactions that I have with these honorees, I would like to mention who we are with here today. A police chief who used the power and authority vested on him to counter and sanction corruption in Colombia. We have a judge who adjudicated corruption without thinking of quid pro quo in Lebanon. A university lecturer and a journalist who both use a unique tool, a keyboard, to raise awareness on the dangers of corruption in their respective countries. An Attorney General of Panama who refused to get soaked in the corruption of mafias in his country, but took actions to sanction them, especially those mentioned in the Panama Papers. Also amongst us is the Minister of Justice of Armenia, who contributed in constructing a civil forfeiture law in confiscating ill-gotten assets. A lawyer, and myself as an advocate, who advocate for legislative reforms, institutional and individual accountability for a more progressive, efficient, and a corruption-resilient public service, both in my country and then also leader from Kazakhstan. And finally, a chief prosecutor of corruption and organized crime in Albania. How wonderful will it be to have these anti-corruption force aiders in a society? However, this is without various challenges. The work of anti-corruption and advocacy activists around the world are sometimes faced with numerous reprisals, including torture, targeted assassinations, arrest and detention, for just doing what is right for our communities and our country. I and a group of brave young men and women were earlier arrested for doing just that, standing up against corruption. Sometimes what we are fighting for, it does not affect us or our families in any way, at least temporarily. But people get hurt, people die, economies weakened, and governments captured, leading to kleptocracy and absolute totalitarianism. This is why we can't sit and do nothing. While we go through all of these ordeals, it takes a foreign government thousands of miles away to recognize our efforts. Thank you. Thus, we are extremely grateful to the US government, as this is not only an encouragement to continue our struggle for a society immune to corruption, but I hope it is also an encouragement for those who want to stand up against corruption but fear the consequences of their action. And just before you want to give up the fight against corruption, I want to remind you of Dr. King's statement, which he made in this historic city of DC in 1959, and I quote, "Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a final world to live in," end quote. So rise up and fight, because you either rise up now or get buried alive in corruption. It is important to note that there are also anti-corruption champions in our rural communities, doing wonderful work but not known. You also have them in our governments, judiciary, and the legislature. Therefore, I want to use this platform to encourage these silent anti-corruption champions back home who are doing whatever they can to establish systems that deter and sanction corruption despite the challenges they face. We're very honored for this prestigious award being presented to us by Honorable Secretary Blinken, graced by the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, and Honorable Senators and House Representatives here in present. On behalf of my colleagues, I want to say thank you very much.